In today's video, I'll be sharing with you the 5 major problems I had while creating my graphic novel Tiger Dragon Rebirth. These are the 5 things that really slowed down my progress, why it took me 20 months to create Tiger Dragon Rebirth. And hopefully these tips and tricks will help you in the future. If you see these problems, you will have the solution already. You won't have to go looking around on the internet. You'll be saving time, and hopefully these tips and tricks will help you on your journey so you can create the best 3D digital artwork you can. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad to be here sharing my skills so we can learn together to become the best 3D artists that we can be with Daz Studio. In these next set of tutorials, we're really going to move and progress on our journey, which means we're going to move off that beginner kind of like stage where everyone likes to hide, where it's nice and safe and secure. And we're going to throw you in the deep end and go into that intermediate stage. We're going to progress on our journey. Those of you that have just started to use Daz Studio, you're just a beginner. Maybe you've been with me from the start, from 2019 when I started this channel, and you've progressed. This is going to help you when if you're still a beginner, you feel like, oh, I'm not too sure if I'm an intermediate. This will prove that you're an intermediate right now. No longer will you say, I'm a Daz Studio beginner, even though we have the beginner's mindset, which is we're always learning. ABL, always be learning. We have that beginner's mindset. We have that growth mindset. We're learning all the time. We're learning brand new things. That's going to help us progress on our journey with our artwork in Daz Studio. We have that wonderful growth mindset. We still need to progress, right? We need to stop saying and limiting ourselves and saying we are beginners. We are not beginners. We are intermediates now. So let's go with this tutorial and let's start our now intermediate journey into Daz Studio. So one of the problems, or one of the first problems that I had with Daz Studio is this. The vehicles that we have in Daz Studio are all left-hand drive, meaning the steering wheel is on the left-hand side because this car is obviously from America. And in America, you guys drive on the right-hand side and your steering wheel is on the left-hand side of your car. Now, in my graphic novel, it's based on Tokyo. So those guys drive on the left-hand side in Japan, which is great because in the UK, we drive on the left-hand side as well. But our steering wheel is on this side here. It's on the right-hand side. Okay, it's not here. It's over here. So that is a problem. I need to resolve that problem. And you can see here in this scene here, we have Ayame. The steering wheel is not on this side. The steering wheel is on that side. So what is the solution? Let's go to that solution right now. So in our scene tab, we've got our prop Metro police car highlighted here. We're going to go to our parameters, transforms, and the X scale. And what we're going to literally do is mirror it, right? We're going to mirror the car by doing negative 100. Negative 100, not star, negative 100. There we go, negative 100. And as I turn this around, you will see that the steering wheel has magically moved to the correct side. So those of you that are doing a scene maybe that's in a country where they drive on the left hand side, there is your solution there. Now that is a solution, but sometimes with every solution you get another problem. You find a solution and then you find a problem. And here is the problem. It is very apparent. If I turn it like this, you can see exactly what the problem is. That the writing has also mirrored as well, meaning that the writing has been back to front because we mirrored it. And what this entails is you need to go and into the textures, and we need to edit those textures and change them in your favorite photo editing software, whatever that is, your favorite image editing software. And we got to reverse those images. So when we replace that texture for this particular part of the car, it will be the correct way. So what is the process for that? Let's go through that process. So let's get out of this RA mode, RA preview mode. Let's use the surfaces selection tool here, and let's click on I'll just do the number plate, but the same process will apply for all the rest of these areas where the writing is flipped back to front. So surfaces selects the number plate. I'm going to go to the surfaces tab here. Here it is, the main body. It's automatically highlighted because we use the surfaces tool. And we're just going to have a look at the base color here. So the actual texture I'm looking for is named police car underscore main body underscore base color. So we're just going to check the other textures to make sure that the actual writing is not being affected by those. So metallicity is not being affected by the writing. Cool, we don't need to worry about that texture map. Glossy roughness, there is nothing on there that I can see. Okay, cool. And the normal map, Nothing I can see as well. Sometimes you'll find on the normal map there will be a normal map for a particular area of the writing on a particular area of a vehicle. You may need to create that. That's not a problem these days because Photoshop allows you to create a normal map, and so does GIMP allow you to do that as well. So you're covered either way. So let's go back to the base color. Left click on that. I'm looking for main body base color. I'm going to click on browser at the top, and that's automatically going to take me to where the texture is saved on one of the hard drives. So let's go down and find that main body base color. So let me see if I can find that. Main body base color, and obviously there's 3 here, but we want the highest texture here, which is this one here, the biggest texture. I'm going to right click, I'm going to open that with Photoshop. Again, you could use GIMP, you could use whatever you want. So here it is, right? So here is the texture. So there's a number plate. We want to reverse these, right? We want to mirror these, so when we bring that back into Daz Studio, it is the correct way. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a duplicate layer. Right click, duplicate layer. Yes, I could have used a shortcut, but I prefer not to, especially when you're a beginner and you get shortcuts thrown at you. It's not great when you're a beginner. So this is based for you beginners, right? You want to go to an intermediate level. This is going to help you if you're using Photoshop. So yes, I want a background copy, please. Thank you very much. So the first thing I want to do is I want to just zoom in a bit more so we get a clear look on that. There's that license plate, and I just want to use my selection tool here. I'm just going to draw around the selection tool very roughly. Obviously, when you're doing this properly, take your time, get that nice selection so it looks professional, right? Let me just get that so I don't cut any bits off. There we go. I think that's good enough. And then we're going to go to edit here at the top. We're going to go to transform, and then we're going to go to flip horizontal, and it should go back to front, right? There it is, back to front. Great. Now we need to do the same for the other number plate because cars have 2 number plates, the front and the back. There it is. Again, selection tool, just going to roughly go over this. Take your time when you're doing it for your scenes because you want them to look absolutely amazing. Edit, transform, and flip horizontal. There we go. Great. So that is done. Awesome. So here I would normally go to File, Save As, and I would save that as a PSD, as a layered one, so I can go back to it and make any changes I need to make to it. In this case, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save it as a JPEG and save that obviously not in the same place, not over the original texture. Make sure you save it in a separate folder. I've got a separate folder here, but because it's a tutorial, I'm going to save it on my desktop. Do not save any desktop. Make sure you save it in a folder that has custom textures like this so you know where it should be. And normally I don't save it the same name as well. I just put BC1. So base color 1 basically. That's what that means. Save. And yes, I would like the maximum size, please. So here we are back in Daz Studio. We're going to go back to this texture here. Click on that. We're going to go to Browse. And now we're going to go to the desktop where I saved it. Hopefully you saved it in a custom textures folder. Do not save it in a desktop like I did. This is just for reference purposes, training purposes. And then do open. And then if you were very quick, you will see that it's flipped here. I'm going to do the iRay preview so you can see that it has actually changed it. It is, even though it's back to front on the texture, it is the correct way here. And that's, there you go. That's what you need to do to make your car into a right-hand drive, and also make sure that the writing, everything that's on here is the correct way. Another thing I want to cover before we move to problem number 2 is the associated parameters for this vehicle will not work as expected. What do I mean by this? So for example, when I click on the door here, you can see that it's been rigged and I can open the door. When I use this parameter here, something weird will happen to the door. So the user parameter, you can see the door does not open in the correct way. And that is because we use that -100 on the X scale for the car to make it right-hand drive. So we've got to change that, right? What is the solution for that? It's a very simple solution. We click on the cog here, we click parameter settings, and then we click on the use limits, right? We don't want to use limits, and we click accept, and you'll see this parameter icon change. This means that there are no limits on this parameter, which means we can go in the opposite direction. So I can now open the door as we expect. So let me go and do the other side right now. Same thing, I'm going to click on that door. When I use it, it's going to go in the incorrect way because we mirrored the car, so to speak. We've got to go to the cog, parameter settings, untick that use limits, click accept, and then we can go in the opposite direction, which is absolutely great. However, not all the parameters will work as expected. So for example, when we click on the steering wheel, obviously, when I move the steering wheel to the left, the tire will go to the right. And when I move this parameter to the right, this tire will go to the left. That's not too much of a problem. We could fix that if you wanted to with advanced rigging. But I want to show you, I want to show you what happens to the steering wheel, right? So look what happens to the steering wheel. Here, when I move it, the steering wheel goes kind of crazy, and that is because of the rigging, right? The rigging, we've done the -100 on the X scale, and the rigging has been messed up. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to show you how to fix this problem. I want to really provide a lot of value. Let's go and fix this with a bit of rigging. So with the steering wheel selected here, we're going to go to the tool settings here. We're going to click here for the menu where it says node selection. I'm going to choose joint editor. So what you'll see is a lot of bones that are related to the rigging. Do not be overwhelmed with this. We're not concerned with these other bones. We're concerned with this particular section here. What I'm going to do is just click on this icon here so you don't see that yellow flashy stuff happening everywhere. So we're focusing on the steering wheel. That's what's selected here. So these are all the options here associated with the rigging, right? So these are all associated with the rigging. And what we're going to do first is, what I like to do is I like to just move this parameter all the way to one side, right? So all the way to left. Let's say to the left side, or you can do the right, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to go to the left, right? So now what I want to do is I want to put my steering wheel like this. So I'm going to move it all the way to one side. I'm going to move my steering wheel so it looks like the original, like that. So let's do that. So we're going to do that by using these points. Now the points we're going to use are the center point here and the orientation. And so we're going to play with the x-axis. We're going to move these around, right? We're going to rotate where possible. We're going to rotate this. We're going to use the orientation to rotate this. Okay, as you can see it moving. Great. All right. Okay, let's see how that looks. So we're going to test it a bit. Okay, that actually doesn't look too bad. How simple was that to fix? There we go. So we've got our steering wheel pretty much in a decent place. Let's have a look. That looks pretty good to me, right? That was actually quite fluky. I haven't done this before. That was actually a bit of a stroke of luck there. But you can see how the kind of process to fix things is not as difficult as it seemed, right? All I did was move the parameter to the left at the worst, kind of like the worst area, so to speak. One, like the full rotation, so to speak, of that particular parameter. We're just going to move these around, right? We're going to move this. You can see it moving up and down. You can see it moving up and down here. You can see these positions moving. We can rotate it, right? So to get it a bit more accurate if you wanted to. And you can see here, right? It's moving. It's moving as we expect it. So it looks perfect, right? It looks perfect. Obviously, when you move to the right, it still moves to the left and all that. But that's not much of a big deal. Really not a deal breaker. But there you go, folks. That is, really how simple it is to when we're in the intermediate stage, we can start doing these things right. It's no longer we're in the beginner phase. We're seeing all these rigging nodes here, and we're kind of like overwhelmed. No, we're not overwhelmed. We're intermediate now, right? We're gonna try things. We're gonna progress. We're gonna challenge ourselves, and that's exactly what I want to really impress upon you, that you can do this. You can do this. It is possible for you to learn these skills and do amazing things inside Daz Studio. So I hope this helped you with it looked like advanced rigging, but it's not actually advanced rigging. I would say it's more like, if you understand the core concepts of rigging, this is straightforward. So there you go, folks. I hope this helped you and given you some tips and tricks on how to deal with this particular area when you mirror an object, mirror a vehicle, and you need to fix the rigging. You can do that quite simply there indeed. Moving swiftly on to the second problem that I had that really slowed down my progress with Tiger Dragon Rebirth, and it is this problem right here. So here we've got a render of a Genesis, a female character. Nothing special, nothing amazing. Anybody could do that. What we do have, though, as you've probably noticed, are these very strange lines here, right? You're probably thinking, Palmy, what are these lines? As a beginner, you're probably thinking, Palmy, what are these lines? And I will explain what these lines are very shortly. So these lines here are where the two textures meet, right? So we've got a separate texture for the arm, separate texture for the torso, and this is where they meet. It's supposed to meet seamlessly, right? So seamlessly meaning they're invisible, you don't know where the join is, and this is very strange because I never had this problem with Tiger Regular Rebirth Edition 1. So something changed in my render settings or something which has caused this to happen. Very strange indeed. So I spent a lot of time figuring this problem out. So the first thing I did was check those eye shaded settings, right, for the skin. Normal maps good, displacement maps good, all those maps are all good, nothing wrong with that. Great, so we've ruled that out, that the eye shaded settings for this skin, for this character are absolutely fine, nothing wrong with that. Very strange indeed. So why are these marks here? I couldn't figure that out. It took a very long time and I found the solution, so let me share that solution with you right now. Into Daz Studio, we jump in. Here it is. Here's the same problem. You can see here it is. There's those ugly UV marks. Very strange. So in this particular scene, we are using scene lines solely. So scene lines and emissive lights. And what I found out was that when you use emissive lights and you use emissive lights with spectral rendering turned on, it doesn't matter what combination of spectral rendering, right? You could have faithful or natural, and then have the appropriate spectral observer, CIE 1931 or CIE 1964. It doesn't matter. What you'll find is that you'll get these ugly seam lines with the scene lights. So when I turn the spectral rendering off, you will see that magically these lines will disappear. Whether that's a problem with Daz Studio, I don't know. Something that needs to be reported to Daz Studio, Daz Studio technical support, and say, hey, this is happening. Maybe that needs to be reported. But anyway, this is the problem that I was having. I found the solution to it. I'm sharing that solution with you, so hopefully to help you out and help you out with this problem if you do get it in the future. And as you can see, the UV, that UV seam has disappeared, right? It's not showing up anymore. Now, the reason why I use spectral rendering is because you're getting much more better skin tone, right? More accurate skin tone quality representation of the color. Highly recommend you should use spectral rendering. It does add a bit more time to your rendering settings. Well worth it if you want the accurate colors or skin colors. Finally, I went into Photoshop. What did I do to correct that? So in Photoshop, here is my same example. Those ugly marks are there. I created a duplicate of this particular layer here, and then I used the healing brush to gently heal that area, right? Where it's going to pick the nearest section and kind of match it. And here's the before, here's the after. It's good enough, right? It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. Because of the way I've used it in the panel, we're okay. So I hope that's helped you guys with that particular problem. If you do see that problem, that is the solution for that problem. Oh, one solution for that problem. There may be other solutions, but that is a solution for that problem. So here we are with problem 3 that I had with Tiger Dragon, the Rebirth Edition 2. This is the scene from there, and you can see the problem straight away. The render is this here. Right. This problem right here is this black rectangle. What is this black rectangle here? We don't have it on this side of the door. What is going on? Very strange indeed. Didn't have this problem with Tiger Dragon Rebirth Edition 1. So what is happening there? There's another similar problem which actually correlates to this, which is actually the same reason why we're getting this. Is another panel. They're both related. The solution is both related to these situations. So I wanted to show you both. So here we've got the actual lighting that should be happening on the flooring here. And then on this right hand side, it looks like there's like a shadow here. It's a kind of shadow effect. There is nothing in this scene that should be causing this shadow. So that was very strange. Like I didn't understand why this part was very, very like dark or something compared to this part. It didn't make any sense. There was nothing in the scene that would create this kind of shadow effect. Very strange. So let's go into Daz Studio and show you the solution. So here we are, Daz Studio. Here's that scene that we showed earlier. So the first thing I did was check the texture of this door. It was fine, nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Great. The second thing I did was to check to see if we're too far away from the origin point. So the origin point meaning the 0 axis. So 0 x-axis, 0 y, and 0 z. That's the origin point. Are we too far away from it? Well, let's have a look. The x translate is nearly 30. The y translate is about nearly 460, and the z translate is just over 7,000. So we're not too far away from the origin point. You have to be very, very far away from the origin point before you start getting weird things happening, such as, you know, the character's eyes, for example. When you're too far away from the origin point, your character's eyes will go all black. And that's one of the kind of like the side effects, so to speak, of being too far away from the origin point. So the solution was this, very strange solution. Render settings, optimization, we have all these wonderful settings. And the one we're going to focus on is this here, instancing optimization. So in here we've got two settings, or three settings rather. Memory, speed, and auto. So memory is the one I always use. So because I've got a lot of instances in the scene that you can't see, but they're everywhere. I use memory to obviously consolidate that memory, save that memory, so I'll be able to render with my GPU. I don't want to render with CPU, obviously. We want to render with GPU much faster. We want the GPU to do what it's designed to do, which is to render. And that's why we stay our memory. Speed is, if you chose speed, then obviously everything will load very quickly, and it would use, Daz Studio would use a maximum amount of memory depending on how much instances you have in your scene, right? So it will just use all that memory, and most likely you will end up rendering to CPU. So when I change this to speed, you will see that this here will go back to normal, which is very weird. So just wait for that IRA preview to update. There we go. It's gone back to normal. So there is a possible solution for you there. If you're having a problem with that in one of your scenes, try the instancing optimization, put it to speed, and see what happens. Hopefully that will be a solution for you. Now, obviously in here, my character is here, right? She's hidden at the moment. If I put my character on now, if I make her visible, this scene will automatically go to CPU rendering just because of the amount of geometry that character has with the hair, the clothes, the high res textures and all that. It will just basically take it over to CPU rendering. So in that case, what I did is I hid my character, right? Because I only need the door here. I use my snapshot rendering tool, here, draw around here with my snapshot rendering, wait for that to do. Then go into your favorite photo editing software. In this case, for me, it's Photoshop. Here is that scene, and then use that snapshot, which is this here, and just put that snapshot in there, and just, put that snapshot in there, and then use a mask to hide the areas you don't want to see visible. That's the solution. So I hope that helps you with that problem there. Instancing optimization there. Very strange, very weird, getting those like artifacts, so to speak. And hopefully that will help you if you see that problem in the future. So on to problem number 4 that I had with my graphic novel, and that is the Dforce clothing. Dforce clothing is great, don't get me wrong. It adds that amazing realism to your renders, such as this one here, right? You can really see the clothes dropping off her leg here and the kind of clothing falling here. It kind of adds to the movement of the scene as well, which is great. Gives you that awesome realism. Now, the problem you'll find with Dforce clothing is that you'll get poking. You will get poking. It's very, very rare for you to not get poking with Dforce clothing. Just because of the amount of different unique characters that everybody uses, right? There's no way that Dforce clothing can accommodate every single character that's in the Daz 3D ecosystem, right? It's very, very unlikely. So therefore, you're gonna get some form of poking. So what is the strategies, the process to kind of deal with that poking? I'm gonna share that with you right now. I just want to show you again very quickly another scene, right? From Tiger Dragon: The Rebirth, which is this scene here. Where I had a particular problem with this dress here. So this dress here, the shoulders, right? For some reason, it's just poking through the shoulders. Even though this character here is poking through the shoulders. The reason why this character is okay and this one isn't is I've used the morph, right, for the shoulders here to hide the inbuilt morph. So I've run the Dforce simulation. There was poking here. There was a morph that comes with this dress for the shoulder here. I've applied that morph and it's fixed it. Great. Absolutely amazing. I've applied the same morph to this shoulder here, and for some reason it hasn't worked, right? There isn't enough of that morph to kind of hide that poking. So what is the process to what is the solution to that? So let's go through that right now. So in Daz Studio, here we are, and you can see the same scene here. So I've used the maximum amount of morph I can for this shoulder area. It's not covering the poking. So what can I do? One of the things I can do is I can do a render. Right? So first I'll do a render of the whole scene as it is. Great. With the poking, right? With the poking. The next thing I will do, this particular area, I'm going to click here where the bone is. I'm going to hide that bone, which is the left color. Then I'm going to do a spot render, right? So I'm going to get my spot tool. I'm going to do a draw rectangle around here or whatever, right? And do a spot render of this particular area here. Then I'm going to take that spot render into my favorite photo editing software. I'm going to put that on, and then I'm going to use masking and just use this particular area here, mask that area in where we're having the poking, right? A great solution. And that's one solution. Now, the other solution here is I'm going to give you two solutions because I want to bring value to you here, is if we have a look at this scene here, sometimes when you're doing the morphs, right, you get to the point where the morph looks very bulky, right? So I can use a morph for this here. There are morphs for this particular Dforce clothing, but sometimes you apply the morph so much, it looks bulky, right? It starts to look ridiculous. Like, why would it be that bulky? It doesn't make sense. And that's where you can use your post work, right? Use your post work skills to hide this. So this is, I left it as this is, right? I left the render like this. I'll show you right now in Photoshop. So we're going to jump into Photoshop. Here is that render right now with the kind of poking, right? So this is the solution. What I came up with is I zoomed in very close, right, to the poking incident, wherever that poking is, wherever that clothes are poking through, right, getting very in there, right? And then I'm going to use the healing brush here in Photoshop, whatever the alternative is inside whatever your favorite photo editing software is, right? There is a tool that does a similar thing. Use that. And I'm going to just use Alt and select an area that I want to like use as a reference area. And then I'm just going to go over this, right? Left click, and I'm just going to like literally just paint over it. I'm going to paint over it. And you'll notice something very apparent as soon as I zoom out. So I'm going to zoom out now. And what do you notice? You notice straight away that you can't even see the photo editing that we did, the post work that we did, right? It's literally exactly what you would expect. So that's a quick way for you to like resolve that. Instead of you keep re-rendering, right? It's going to take ages and all that kind of stuff. You want to use your post work skills to your maximum effort, right? Maximum use, so you can save time. And especially when you're creating a graphic novel, saving time is the name of the game, right? You don't want to keep re-rendering things. Otherwise, you will never get your graphic novel done. And you'll take 20 months like me to finish your graphic novel, which is a ridiculous amount of time. So yeah, highly recommend, if you're not using post-work skills right now, you beginners out there, go and learn post-work skills, right? GIMP. If you don't want to pay for Photoshop, that's fine. There's a lot of free software out there. Go and learn them, right? They do have these tools. There's a lot of YouTube tutorials that can help you. Go learn those post-work skills because you can create some amazing artwork and use those filters that come with the particular photo editing software to help you create that realism, to help you create that really high quality artwork that you desire. That's going to help you. So I hope this helped you guys. That's two techniques there, hiding the bones, and then obviously doing a spot render, or using your photo editing skills to kind of use that healing brush or cloning tool to hide those Dforce poking errors. So I'll say the best for last, and that is the major problem that I had with the Tiger Dragon the Rebirth 2nd edition is the characters, creating scenes with multiple characters. How do you create scenes with multiple characters without destroying your GPU? Meaning always going to CPU rendering, because just the mass amount of characters in this scene, there's no way that my graphics card will be able to render with this many characters. So we've got to think creatively, we've got to think outside the box, because not all of us can afford those wonderful brand new graphics cards with 24 gigs of VRAM. So we've got to think creatively, and it is possible. I'm going to show you some possible tips and tricks and solutions that I use for me to create this panel, right? How did I render this scene, right? Because there's no way I could render it like it is. So one of the first things I highly suggest you do is in your scene tab here, is make sure you put your characters in groups. Now the reason why I recommend this is, first of all, it looks nice and neat, you know where things are. And second of all, you can easily hide characters. So let's say, for example, I want you to hide all these characters here. Because they're all grouped in here, right, in the Yakuza group, right, all 6 of them are here. All I need to do is click this visibility button for the group, and they're gone, right? Easy. And I know that when I hit the render button, that my computer will be able to handle this scene as it is. So these 2 characters here, it will be able to handle the scene as it is. If I added these Yakuza characters, there's no way that my GPU will be able to render this scene. So what can we do? What tips or tricks can we use to kind of help with that situation? So the first thing we can do is we can see that these characters are wearing clothes. Now, what we can do is hide the bones. So we can hide the skin, so to speak, right? We don't need to show the skin, the bones, so to speak, because the clothing is hiding it. So let me just zoom into this bunch of criminals, shall we say. Move into those, move a bit closer then. So Here you can see exactly like they're wearing clothes. So let's hide, right? Let's hide these particular sections. So let's go to, for example, yeah, let's go to dull guy because I haven't done his. So here, if you click on dull guy here, it expands and you can see everything associated with him. And here's a hip, right? We're interested in the hip. When we expand the hip, we've got the pelvis and we've got the abdomen lower. So the pelvis is everything from here all the way down, and abdomen lower is everything from here all the way up. So we want everything all the way down. So it'll be a right click on the pelvis here, sorry, a left click first to highlight the pelvis, a right click to get this menu, and we're going to go to expand and expand from selected. So it's going to expand every single bone from pelvis that's attached to the pelvis. All right, the pelvis is the main bone and everything else is attached to that. So I'm going to scroll all the way down till we get to the end of that, which is here, right heel. We're going to click on my shift button, the left shift key on my keyboard. Then I'm going to left click on that right heel to select everything. Inside, you can see that everything's selected by the bounding boxes, these kind of like square lines, these kind of lines here. That means everything's selected. Make sure the parameters, the all section is selected, right? We don't want to accidentally just do one separate bit, we want to do everything. In the search bit here, we want to click, type in here and type viz. V-I-S, which is short for visible. So what we're saying to Daz Studio is, I want to hide these bones. So click on off, right? And as you can see, nothing has happened to this. We're completely fine. The actual clothing is fine. There's no deformation in the clothing. Everything is good. So we could do that for all the characters. Just double check to make sure the deformation. Sometimes you get like clothing deformations on some clothes, depending on how close they are to the actual skin. So when you remove that bone, that skin as well, it starts to act a bit weird. But in this case, we're okay. That's just something to notice, something to look out for. So let's say we did that for everything, for all these characters. You probably still won't be able to render, right? Because it's just the sheer amount of the clothing as well and the hair, right? There's a lot of textures, a lot of geometry, including the whole scene as well. You still want to be able to render with this many characters with my 8 gigabytes of card. So what else can we do? So the next thing we can do is let me just zoom back out. This will make sense when I zoom back out. So let me just zoom back out. So my camera roughly for this scene is about here. Something you'll notice is that because my camera is so far away, this is my camera, I'm not going to move it, for example. This is where I would do my rendering. Do these characters in the background need to be rendered at the highest possible level, like sub-D level 4, 3, 2, or 1? And the answer to that question is no. So what we can do is, because we don't need the details, right? There's no way we're going to see those details. We're just too far away. So we can save rendering, we can save the memory, right? By removing that level of detail. So here we can select all those characters, Jin, all the way to Tai, right? And we selected all those characters. Over here, it's already showed up, but over here, make sure again, all is selected. We don't want to just do individual characters or individual clothing. We want to do everything that's associated with those characters. That includes the clothing and the hair. And here in this search toolbar, we're going to type in not VIS, sorry. We're going to type in sub D. So what we want to do is, I've already done this here, but subdivision level will have a question mark here because it will say like everybody's got a different subdivision level. All the clothing has different subdivision levels. That's why we'll have a question mark here. And basically we want to put that to 0 because we just don't need that level of detail. And this is the most important one here, render sub D level. We want to set that to 0 because we just don't need to render at sub D level 1, 2, 3, or 4. We just don't need that. The other thing we could do as well is we can change this to search for resolution. And we can change the resolution level from high resolution to base. Because again, because the characters are so far behind, we don't need that level of detail. So we save in memory again. Now, even now, you may still not be possible to do it because there's just too many characters, right? What else can we do? So the third thing we can do is we can have a look at these characters. There is a clear space between this character's foot and this one here. So we can use snapshot rendering to render this bunch of characters individually and then render this bunch of characters individually. Now, if I was going to do that, I would obviously hide these characters because these two characters here don't need them because we're focusing on this area here. so I can hide those. So what I would do is I would hide these characters. So let me just select those characters. Kaz and Ty. There we go, those three. And here I'm going to just type in Viz, V-I-S. I'm going to hide these three characters. There you go. So all these characters hidden. Great. And what we could do now is use a snapshot rendering tool to render these three bunch of characters with those settings that we just did, and then render these three characters. Great. So now let's say imagine we render those characters. We've got those individual renders that we need, snapshot renders. Great. We can hide that, hide all those characters. We can scroll down and bring these characters back and hit the render button, right? So we've got the background here and we've got everything. Because I know that my 8 gigabytes of graphics card can handle this, right? Can handle this much texture and everything because I've done it before, got the experience. But yeah, I know I can handle that. I can render it, and therefore this is kind of like multipass rendering. Okay, so we're kind of like doing the main render with whatever we can fit in there with the background, and then we're going to render the other bits that we need, and then use our favorite photo editing software to put them in, put those characters in the scene. And then there we have it, right? That's our scene. And that's how I did the majority of my scenes, and that worked out fine for me. It's a bit long-winded, but it's possible, right? If you look for a solution, you're very likely to find it. So again, folks, this is from my graphic novel, Tiger Dragon: The Rebirth. It's a brand new superhero story. If you're into superhero stories, right, you've maybe had enough of the direction that Marvel and DC are going with their characters. You're looking for something new. This could be for you, and there is a link in the description if you want to go check it out. You can read chapter 1 right now. If you go link in the description, you can sign up for that. You get 22 pages of chapter 1 of the final version of Tiger Dragon: The Rebirth 2nd edition. You can read that to get acquainted with the characters. We will be going live on Indiegogo very soon, so if you want to support that campaign as well, please go ahead, purchase. It's an awesome story, 168 pages, 20 months of work to create this wonderful story, and this is just the first part, right? This is going to be an amazing story, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with you. Don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button, and don't forget to leave a comment down below as well, what you liked about the video, what you didn't like about the video, anything you want me to help you with. I'm here to help you, to serve you, so you can become the best Daz 3D digital artist you can be. That is my purpose here, to help you, to move you from the beginner phase, to move you to the intermediate phase, to move you to the advanced phase, and move you to the mastery phase as we progress together on our journey, right? That's what it's all about. We're progressing together. We can see the progress together. We're learning from each other. And if you've got any tips and tricks, right, that you want to share, leave them in the comments down below as well, right? I'm more than happy to share that knowledge. I'm more than happy to if I've done some, if something is incorrect, like call me out on it, right? Call me out in the comments down below and write it down there, right? I'm more than happy to take that feedback on board and become better at my craft, so I can help you become better at your craft. And until next week's video, if you want to live your dream life, commit to mastery.